Module 6, Emotional Intelligence for Leaders course, Team Dynamics and Conflict Resolution. Lesson 1, Understanding Team Dynamics. In this lesson, we will explore what really makes a team succeed, not just skills and resources, but the emotions, the relationships, and the invisible forces that shape how people work together. First, let's ask ourselves, what is a team? A team is not just a group of people working on the same project. Rather, a team is a living system of personalities, emotions, and shared goals. And this is why emotional intelligence matters. Without it, leaders may hit targets but lose their people along the way. But with it, leaders inspire collaboration, loyalty, and creativity that outlasts deadlines. Every team is shaped by invisible forces: the culture, the power dynamics, the unspoken rules, and the emotional climate. You have seen it before. One person's negative energy can spread like wildfire, while one person's encouragement can lift the entire group. The emotionally intelligent leader does not just see the surface, rather, they read what's happening underneath. Now, let's look at the stages of team development. Every team goes through 5 phases. The first phase, forming, where excitement mixes with uncertainty. The second stage, storming, where personalities clash and conflict surfaces. The third stage, norming, where trust grows and roles settle. The fourth stage, performing, where productivity and creativity peak. And then lastly, the fifth stage, adjourning, where the team completes its mission and prepares to move on. A leader with emotional intelligence knows how to guide people through each of these stages, offering clarity during forming, staying calm during storming, encouraging collaboration during norming, empowering during performing, and celebrating during adjourning. But here is something many leaders miss. Every team has different personalities and natural roles. Some people are innovators, sparking new ideas. Others are implementers, turning those ideas into reality. Some are coordinators who keep everyone aligned, challengers who raise the tough questions, or supporters who keep morale alive. A wise leader doesn't try to make everyone the same. Instead, they draw strength from this diversity. At the core of strong team dynamics is trust and psychological safety. Trust is what allows team members to rely on each other. Psychological safety, on the other hand, is what allows them to share ideas or admit mistakes without fear of ridicule. Research has shown that psychological safety is the number one predictor of team success, and it starts with you, the leader. By listening actively, keeping promises, and admitting your own mistakes, you create a culture where people feel safe to bring their best. So, how do you build an emotionally safe team environment? Number 1, encourage open dialogue. Number 2, acknowledge emotions, even the difficult ones. Number 3, set clear rules for respectful conflict. Number 4, celebrate contributions publicly and correct mistakes privately. Number 5, and most importantly, be consistent. Fairness builds trust. Favoritism destroys it. As a leader, you don't just manage projects, you manage energy, you manage emotions, you manage all the invisible dynamics of the people. When you understand team dynamics, you transform ordinary groups into extraordinary teams. Teams that thrive under pressure, innovate naturally, and grow stronger through every challenge. This is the true power of emotional intelligence in leadership. Lesson 2, Communication styles and emotional cues in teams. communication styles and emotional cues in teams. If leadership is about guiding people, then communication is the bridge that carries your vision into the hearts of your team. And when you add emotional intelligence to that bridge, your words don't just inform, they inspire, they connect, and they transform. Let's begin with communication styles. There are 4 common patterns we see in teams. Number 1, assertive communication styles. These are clear, respectful, and confident. It builds trust. Number 2, passive communication styles. They are quiet, avoiding conflict, but often leaving needs unspoken. Number 3, aggressive communication styles. As dominating, harsh, and often silencing others. And number 4, passive aggressive communication styles. That is passive aggressive. This is indirect, sarcastic, and resistant without open confrontation. As a leader, your role is to model assertive communication, firm but fair, respectful yet clear. This style sets the tone for the whole team. But words are only half the story. Much of communication happens without speech, in body language, eye contact, facial expressions, and even silence sometimes. An emotionally intelligent leader learns to read the room. Is someone kneeling back? Is someone folding his arms? Is someone signaling resistance? Is someone quiet, not because they agree, but because they feel unsafe to speak? These subtle emotional cues reveal the heart of your team conversation. Now consider this. Communication is not just what you say, but how you say it, your tone, the timing, and your temperament can either strengthen your message or destroy it. A harsh tone can turn good advice into criticism. Poor timing can make wise feedback feel like an attack. But when you speak with calmness and empathy, even hard truths can be received as care. In today's world, teams are often made up of people with diverse personalities and cultural backgrounds. What feels respectful in one culture may feel blunt in another. Some personalities prefer direct speech, others value subtlety and diplomacy. The emotionally intelligent leader adapts, not by changing the truth, but by shaping the delivery so that every person feels valued and understood. Being an effective communicator also means being emotionally present. When you are distracted, when you are rushed, or you are dismissive, your team notices. But when you listen with full attention, note with understanding, and respond thoughtfully, people feel heard. And when people feel heard, they open up. That's why great leaders lead inclusive conversations. They don't just allow people to speak, they invite them. They ask open-ended questions. They pause to make space for quieter voices. They show that disagreement is not dangerous, but an opportunity for growth. Inclusion is not about everyone always agreeing. It's about everyone feeling safe to contribute. And finally, communication is not complete without respectful dialogue and feedback. Respect doesn't mean avoiding correction. It means correcting with dignity. It means giving feedback that builds, not breaks. And it means creating a culture where honesty is wrapped in care. Leadership communication is not about speaking the loudest. It's about speaking wisely, listening deeply, and creating an atmosphere where every voice matters. When you master communication styles and emotional cues, you move from managing conversations to shaping cultures of trust, respect, and collaboration. This is the power of emotionally intelligent communication. Lesson 3. Giving feedback with empathy. One of the most powerful tools a leader has is feedback. But here is the truth. Feedback is a double-edged sword. Done well, it builds trust, sharpens performance, and unlocks growth. Done poorly, it breeds resentment, fear, and silence. That's why emotional intelligence is the difference between feedback that uplifts and feedback that destroys. Why is feedback so critical? Because teams and individuals cannot grow without it. Feedback acts like a mirror, helping people see their blind spots, understand their strengths, and adjust for improvement. A leader who withholds feedback starves their team of growth, but a leader who gives it with empathy creates an environment where learning never stops. But let's be honest, feedback is emotional. It doesn't matter if it's positive or corrective, it carries weight. A careless word can break trust in seconds. A thoughtful word, on the other hand, can deepen loyalty for years. That's why leaders must always ask, will my feedback build or will it break? Timing and setting matter. Giving feedback in public can embarrass. Giving it in private shows respect. Correcting in the heat of anger wounds. Correcting with calmness and preparation heals. The best leaders choose the right moment, the right mood, and the right environment, so their feedback is received, not resisted. And this is where empathy comes in. Before you speak, pause. Step into the other person's shoes. Ask yourself, how will I feel if I receive this feedback? What words would encourage me instead of discouraging me? Empathy doesn't mean avoiding truth. It means delivering truth in a way that respects dignity and inspires growth. But what about tough messages? Sometimes, as leaders, we must correct poor performance, wrong attitudes, or even serious mistakes. Here is the secret. You can be firm without being cruel. Start with respect. State the issue clearly without exaggeration. Suggest solutions and end with encouragement. When people see that your intention is to help, not to humiliate, they respond positively. One method you can use is the affirm, clarify, encourage approach. Affirm, clarify, encourage approach. So number one, affirmation. Begin by recognizing what the person does well. Number two, clarification. Explain the area that needs adjustment with honesty and precision. Number three, encouragement. End by reminding them of their potential and your belief in them. This method balances truth with hope, correction with care. Finally, feedback should never be one way. Great leaders encourage two-way feedback. They don't just speak, they invite input. They ask, how am I doing as your leader? What can I do better to support you? This creates humility, openness, and a culture of continuous improvement where everyone grows together. Feedback is not about pointing fingers. It's about lighting the path. When you give feedback with empathy, you strengthen trust, boost morale, and unlock the true potential of your team. Remember this, people may forget your exact words, but they will never forget how your feedback made them feel. That is the power of giving feedback with emotional intelligence. Lesson 4. Conflict awareness and emotional triggers. Conflict awareness and emotional triggers. Every leader, no matter how skilled, will face conflict. Why? Because wherever people gather, differences exist. But here is the truth. Conflict is not always the enemy. Sometimes it's the doorway to deeper understanding and stronger teams, if handled with emotional intelligence. So, let's start at the root. Workplace conflict often grows out of three things: differences in values, expectations, or communication styles. Number 1, values, like I've said. What people believe is important. Number 2, expectations. What they assume will happen. And number 3, communication, how they express themselves. When these 3 don't align, tension begins. And if left unchecked, tension becomes conflict. But here is something leaders often overlook. Conflict doesn't only come from others, it comes from within us too. That's why every leader must learn to identify their own emotional triggers. What words, what behaviors, or what situations spark irritation, defensiveness, or even anger in you. Self-awareness is the first step, because when you know your triggers, you can prevent them from controlling your response. Great leaders also recognize brewing conflict early. It rarely starts with shouting. It starts with small signals. Such signals like silence, where there used to be contributions, sarcasm replacing sincerity, and tension in body language during meetings. Spot these early signs and you can address the issue before it explodes. The key skill here is self-regulation. When conflict arises, emotions spike. But your role as a leader is to manage your own state before trying to manage others. Pause, breathe, reflect, then respond. Don't react. Your calmness becomes the anchor in the storm. This is where emotional intelligence shines. De-escalating a heated situation doesn't mean avoiding the problem. It means lowering the emotional temperature so that a real solution can emerge. Listen actively without interrupting. Validate feelings without necessarily agreeing. Reframe the issue from me versus you to us versus the problem. These simple steps shift the energy from confrontation to collaboration. And remember, when emotions run high, your presence matters more than your words. If you panic, your team will panic. If you get defensive, they will mirror it. But if you stay calm, composed, and focused, you give everyone else permission to settle down too. Conflict is not the enemy of leadership. Unmanaged conflict is. By understanding its root, knowing your triggers, and using emotional intelligence to regulate yourself, you can turn conflict into growth. Because great leaders don't just stop fights, they transform tension into trust and disagreements into opportunities for unity. This is the power of emotional intelligence in conflict awareness. Lesson 5. Conflict resolution techniques for leaders. Conflict resolution techniques for leaders. Conflict in teams is inevitable, but how you handle it determines whether it becomes a source of destruction or a catalyst for growth. Emotional intelligence gives leaders the tools to resolve, not suppress disagreements, creating stronger teams and healthier relationships. First, let's make a distinction. Resolution means addressing the root of the problem and finding a way forward. Suppression means pushing the issue down, hoping it will disappear. But suppressed conflict doesn't go away. It grows underground until it erupts later, often in worse ways. True leaders aim for resolution, not silence. One of the most powerful tools in conflict resolution is listening without judgment. When people feel heard, emotions cool down. When they feel dismissed, emotions flare up. As a leader, your role is not to take sides too quickly, but to give each person space to speak without interruption and with genuine attention. To move from surface tension to real understanding, you must either ask the right questions. What do you feel is the real issue here? What outcome would you like to see? And how can we work together to reach that outcome? Good questions open doors. Poor questions shut them. Another powerful tool is reframing. Instead of seeing the conflict as me versus you, reframe it as us versus the problem. This subtle shift changes the atmosphere from personal attack to shared problem solving. It reminds the team we are not enemies, we are partners facing the same challenge. Now, conflict resolution demands neutrality and fairness. If team members suspect favoritism, trust evaporates. As a leader, you must stand in the middle, not on one side. Your authority comes not from taking sides, but from ensuring every side feels respected. This is where emotional intelligence balances assertiveness with compassion. Assertiveness ensures you deal with the issue directly. Compassion ensures you deal with it kindly. Too much assertiveness without compassion feels harsh. Too much compassion without assertiveness feels weak. But together, they create a leadership presence that is both firm and caring. It's also important to recognize that resolving group conflicts is different from handling one-on-one disagreements. In one-on-one disagreements, you focus on individual needs and personal emotions. But in group conflict, you must protect collective harmony while ensuring no voice is silenced. The skill lies in balancing the group's progress with each person's dignity. And here is the beauty. When handled well, conflict doesn't weaken relationships, it strengthens them. Every disagreement resolved fairly builds deeper trust. Every storm weathered together makes the team stronger. Conflict in the hands of an emotionally intelligent leader becomes a classroom where people learn respect, resilience, and unity. Leaders don't avoid conflict. Rather, they don't even suppress it. Rather, they resolve it with wisdom, fairness, and empathy. Because in the end, conflict is not just a challenge to overcome. It's an opportunity to build stronger teams, healthier relationships, and more resilient leaders. This is the art of conflict resolution through emotional intelligence. Lesson 6. Negotiating with clarity and integrity. Negotiating with clarity and integrity. When people hear the word negotiation, they often think of boardrooms, contracts, or high-stakes deals. But for leaders, negotiation is much broader. Every time you balance competing needs, align different interests, or resolve differences in vision, you are negotiating. And how you negotiate reveals not just your strategy, but also your character. So what does negotiation really mean for leaders? It's not about winning at all costs. It's about finding solutions, it's about finding solutions that respect everyone's needs while staying true to your mission and values. Negotiation is the art of influence without manipulation, persuasion without pressure, and compromise without losing integrity. But many negotiations fall apart because of emotional traps. Ego will whisper, I must prove I'm right. Pride will say, I can't back down. Fear will warn, what if I lose? Impatience will push, let's just end this quickly. All these traps cloud judgment, turning conversations into battles instead of collaborations. An emotionally intelligent leader recognizes these traps and refuses to fall into them. That's why preparation is more than facts and figures. It's mental and emotional readiness. Before you enter a negotiation, ask yourself, 1, am I calm and focused or anxious and defensive? 2, do I truly understand the other side's needs? 3, am I ready to listen as much as I speak? Preparation builds confidence. Emotional readiness builds resilience. Together, they set you up for success. And here is the heart of effective negotiation: finding common ground without compromising your values. True leaders know that agreements built on lies, shortcuts, or broken principles never last. But when you stand on integrity, even if the process takes longer, the results are stronger and more sustainable. The goal is always a win-win outcome. That doesn't mean everyone gets everything they want. It means everyone walks away with dignity, fairness, and clarity. And the path to win-win is simple but powerful. Honest communication and straightforward assignment. Transparency removes suspicion. Respect removes hostility. Of course, not every situation allows full flexibility. That's why negotiation requires wisdom to know when to stand firm and when to be flexible. Stand firm when your core values, mission, or ethics are at stake. Be flexible when it's about style, process, or secondary preferences. Emotional intelligence helps you discern the difference. And finally, in high-stakes conversations, your greatest asset is presence. When emotions run high, your calmness reassures. When the other side pushes aggressively, your steadiness commands respect. When pressure mounts, your confidence gives your team courage. This is leadership in its purest form. Not just what you say, but how you carry yourself. Negotiation is not about defeating the other side. It's about building bridges with clarity, fairness, and integrity. When you prepare emotionally, avoid traps, stay grounded in your values, and lead with calm confidence, every negotiation becomes an opportunity, not just to reach agreement, but to strengthen trust, character, and leadership influence. This is the power of negotiating with emotional intelligence. Lesson 7. Building rapport with different personalities. One of the greatest challenges in leadership is this. Not everyone thinks, feels, or acts the way you do. But that's also one of your greatest opportunities. Because when you learn to connect with different personalities, you unlock the full strength of your team. Let's begin by understanding personality types. In every team, you will often find the following set of personality styles. 1. The thinkers. These are analytical, detail-oriented, and logical. Number 2, feelers. These people are empathetic, relational, and people-focused. Number 3, you will find the doers. These are action-driven, energetic, and results-focused people. And of course, number 4, you will find visionaries. These are the big picture dreamers, creative and future-minded. Each brings unique strengths and each has blind spots. Great leaders recognize both. But here is the challenge. It's not always easy to connect with someone whose personality is different from yours. The detail-oriented thinker may get frustrated with the visionary's big dreams. The energetic doer may grow impatient with the feeler's careful pace. As a leader, your role is to bridge these differences, not let them divide the team. This is where empathy becomes your greatest tool. Empathy allows you to meet people where they are, not where you wish they would meet you or where you wish they would be. It helps you to say, I may not think like you, but I value the way you think. When people feel seen and respected for who they are, rapport grows naturally. Now, building rapport also requires adaptability. This doesn't mean pretending to be someone you are not. It means rather adjusting your communication style so that others can connect with you more easily. Speak data to the thinkers. Speak encouragement to the feelers. Speak trust to the doers, and speak vision to the dreamers. Adaptation shows respect, and respect builds trust. But rapport isn't just about one-on-one connection. It's about fostering collaboration between contrasting personalities. Encourage thinkers and visionaries to balance each other. One will bring logic, the other will bring creativity. Pair doers and feelers together. One will drive momentum, the other will ensure harmony. Differences are not weaknesses, they are opportunities for synergy. And here is a key principle. Unity doesn't mean uniformity. You don't need everyone to think the same, feel the same, or act the same. In fact, sameness kills innovation. True unity comes when diverse personalities work together with mutual respect and appreciation. Building rapport with different personalities is not about changing people, it's about valuing people. When you use empathy, adapt your style, and encourage collaboration, you create a culture where differences don't divide but enrich. And when that happens, your team doesn't just work together, they thrive together. This is the power of emotional intelligence in building rapport. Lesson 8. Creating a culture of harmony and support. Creating a culture of harmony and support. A truly great team is not just productive, it's harmonious and fair. Harmony doesn't mean the absence of conflict, but the presence of trust, respect, and emotional connection. As a leader, your role is to create this kind of culture where people feel safe, supported, and inspired to give their best. So, what does team harmony actually look like? 1. It's when people communicate openly without fear. 2. It's when differences don't create enemies but opportunities. And 3. It's when individuals know they belong and the group identity is stronger than personal pride. Harmony matters because it fuels creativity, reduces stress, and builds resilience in the face of challenges. One of the pillars of harmony is emotional honesty and openness. When team members can say, "I'm struggling," or "I disagree," without fear of judgment, trust deepens. As a leader, you set the example. Show vulnerability, admit your mistakes, and encourage authentic conversations. Openness creates connection. Silence breeds suspicion. Harmony also grows through rituals of appreciation and support. Simple acts like celebrating small wins, recognizing effort, or checking in on someone's well-being go a long way. These rituals tell your team you are more than just what you produce. You are valued. Gratitude is not just a gesture, it is a culture builder. To sustain harmony, leaders must provide consistency and emotional steadiness. If your moods swing widely, your team will live in uncertainty. But if you remain calm, fair, and steady, your team will feel secure, even during tough times. Your consistency becomes their stability. Now, let's be clear. Harmony doesn't mean avoiding disagreements. In fact, healthy disagreement sharpens ideas. The difference is how disagreements are handled. Teach your team to focus on issues, not personalities. Encourage respectful debate, active listening, and compromise. Handled well, disagreements strengthen unity instead of breaking it. True harmony also celebrates diversity of thoughts, diversity of background, and diversity of experience. When people from different walks of life come together, they bring unique insights that spark innovation. The emotional, intelligent leader makes diversity a strength, not a stumbling block, ensuring every voice adds richness to the team's song. And finally, harmony thrives when your team has a shared identity, rooted not just in tasks, but in values and emotional connection. When people know what they stand for together, They stop competing against each other and start pulling in the same direction. This shared purpose transforms a group of individuals into a family of achievers. A culture of harmony and support is not built overnight. It's built daily through openness, appreciation, steadiness, respect, diversity, and shared values. When you lead with emotional intelligence, your team doesn't just perform, they flourish. They become more than colleagues, they become a community. This is the power of creating harmony through emotional intelligent leadership. Congratulations, you have reached the end of Module 6, Team Dynamics and Conflict Resolutions. This module is about the heart of leadership, how to manage emotions, guide relationships, and turn conflict into connections. Let's quickly recap what we covered. In Lesson 1, we discovered the invisible forces of team dynamics and how emotionally intelligent leaders guide teams through growth stages. Lesson 2 showed us how to read communication styles and emotional cues to create clarity and understanding. Lesson 3 reminded us that feedback with empathy can build trust rather than break it. Lesson 4 uncovered how to recognize conflict triggers both in yourself and in your team. Lesson 5 gave us tools to resolve conflict fairly and constructively. Lesson 6 showed us how to negotiate with clarity and integrity, creating a win-win outcome. Lesson 7 taught us how to build rapport across different personalities, turning diversities into strengths. And in Lesson 8, we tied everything together by creating a culture of harmony and support where teams truly thrive. Now pause and reflect on the following questions as a leader. How do I respond when tension arises in my team? What kind of emotional climate am I creating? Am I leading with steadiness or with stress? How can I become a better communicator, listener, and conflict resolver? These are not just questions, they are mirrors. Looking into them with honesty. Remember this, emotional intelligence does not avoid conflict. It rather transforms conflict into connection, into growth, and into trust. As a leader, therefore, your greatest victories won't just be in projects completed or targets achieved. They will be in the relationships you nurture, the trust you build, and the emotional safety you create. So take these principles and apply them in real time. Apply them in real-world leadership situations. Lead with empathy, listen with patience, negotiate with integrity, and above all, create a culture where your team not only works, but flourishes. This is the mark of an emotionally intelligent leader. And this is the end of Module 6. Now, let's go into some practicals and thereafter attempt the quizzes. Thank you.